Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in to Shasta Trailer Restoration Project, episode lucky number 13. It's been a while since I've checked in. That's mainly because I've been really busy with work and also because I've been trying to tidy up around the house. I have an abundance of clutter, especially in the garage, and I have some pretty big plans for YouTube and the channel that requires a tidy workstation. So to relieve some of the junk, I took the time and I built this nice little metal shed. I got this thing for free. Whoa, now hold on there, Sparky. That's not really accurate. It was on my neighbor's property, but I had a dead tree at my house right at the property line, and I was being a negligent neighbor, and during a very gusty windstorm, that tree just toppled right over onto the shed. I went ahead and bought the neighbor a new shed, and he gave me the old one, which you see right here. I had to tweak some of the metal and replace a few parts to make it look straight again, but it will definitely do the job of basically oversized junk drawer. So let's just go over here and I'll give you the grand tour. I want to show you this thing not just because I'm proud of it, but also because it gave me a fair amount of grief during construction and I feel like complaining a little bit. I put the shed on this nice concrete slab that's 10 feet wide by 6 feet deep and consists of 35 bags of cement that weigh 80 pounds each. My wife and I laid down the slab using this old cement mixer that's been in the family for about 75 years. As you can see, it's had its fair share of use, and when it runs, it sounds like an old ore crusher. But we got the job done, and now I have a nice, smooth, solid foundation for my shed. When I started building the shed, one of the first things I did was drill holes through this bottom plate for the foundation bolt. I was doing this using a 1-inch spade bit, holding the board in one hand and the drill in the other. Well, for some reason, this drill bit saw the need to jump out of the work and dance a little tango two-step across the back of my hand, leaving considerable damage, especially right here. This wound was opened up about 1/4 of an inch, and it was so deep I could see the tendon and my skeletal structure moving underneath the flesh. I tried to convince my wife that I could just splint it with some Legos and masking tape, but she thought I ought to go ahead and go to the hospital to have it fixed up. And sure enough, I had 3 stitches here. But it's good as new now, all healed up. Unfortunately, I just got the bill from the emergency room, and for the price of my medical attention, I could have purchased a few sheds plus installation. Oh well, at least I have the experience. So let's step inside here. I had to replace a few things inside the shed. I had to put a couple of wood ceiling supports because the original metal ones were crumpled beyond repair, and I also reinforced some assemblies right here where you can see that white lumber. It was a little bit of turmoil, a little bit of a challenge to build this thing, but overall I'm happy with it. In fact, I even pulled out all the stops and put a nice little lean-to off the side here. This will give me even more storage space, plus, as you probably already know, garden tool season opened up here last weekend, and now I have the perfect place to field dress this wheelbarrow that I shot. But I'll take care of that on my own time. Now that this little project is finished, I can resume the task at hand, which is, of course, the trailer. In the last episode, we finished building the upper cabinets, and today we'll start working on the lower units. To lay out these lower cabinets, I'll start here by the door and just work my way around. I'll use a tape measure, a straight edge, the stars, and some of the original framing as my guide, and with any luck, it will all go swimmingly. So to start things off, I'll reconstruct this piece. I've got this half wall put together, but I still need to put this little curve on the front edge. To do it, I'll first make a rough cut with the jigsaw, and then I'll smooth it out with the Roto-Zip. I'll use the original panel as a guide for my router. Okay, I've got this little partition in place. It's attached with a few screws driven into the back side and down here at the bottom. I've also built this frame, which is going to accommodate the oven up top and have this nice little cabinet underneath. Next, I'll install some boards back here, which will serve as rear supports for the countertop. Okay, that's starting to take shape. Next I need to fill in this area right here with something that resembles this. When I'm building this cabinet face, I need to make sure that it's as wide as the distance between this wall and this cabinet face, and as tall as these countertop supports. I also need to ensure that the drawers I build into it are of the same dimensions as the drawers that I have in this wall over here, in the spirit of Shasta symmetry. Okay, let's see what we can do here. To build this cabinet face, I started by laying out some pine boards that I had already cut to length. Then I began putting the assembly together using a wide crown stapler. Unfortunately, that tool stopped working in the middle of the job, so I had to finish the project with an 18-gauge nail gun. The nailer worked well, and for an extra measure of strength, I applied Liquid Nails construction adhesive to all the joints. After I had finished putting together the remainder of the assembly, the next step was to lay down some more glue and then attach a sheet of 5mm plywood to the face of the frame. And as soon as the panel was securely nailed, I was able to use the rotozip to create the outline of the finished piece. Do I look elegant right here? As well as make the cutouts for the doors and drawers. And that is done. Time to try it out. I'll tell you, I'm anxious to see how this piece looks in here. Hopefully it'll fit. Ooh, it looks good, old sport. Now I'll just attach it with some screws down both sides and along the bottom. As I've been working on the trailer, I've noticed that many of the cabinets and interior walls add a great deal of strength to the overall structure. For example, this wall has a rather noticeable curve in it, but by attaching it to the new cabinet face, it will become straight again and form a very strong joint. What'd I tell ya? I'm working on the dinette now, which consists of 2 benches, this little wall extension which will serve as a backrest, and a 2-foot by 3-foot dining room table. Now I need to make a little cover for the front of this fender. These little pieces make me feel like I'm building a house out of popsicle sticks or a model airplane. Alright, I finished building what will eventually be the replacement for these 2 benches, and although I have made measurable progress on the interior of the trailer, there's still a lot more work to be done. Specifically, I need to build a combination bench and bed, and I also need to install the kitchen countertop. I initially wanted to do both of these jobs before I installed any siding, just in case I needed to add some lumber to an exterior wall to fasten something to, or if I needed to secure some interior structure from the outside of the coach. However, It's mid-October, wet weather is just around the corner, and although I do have a blue tarp to cover the trailer with, that's no match for a nasty storm, and there's a very real danger of losing several hundred hours worth of work and several $1,000s worth of hard-earned money in one rainy afternoon. So for that reason, I'm going to switch gears, step outside, let my eyes adjust a little bit, and start working on the exterior of the Shasta. I hope you join me for that next time. Thanks for watching.